Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max. I am your host, Sean Garmer, here with me as usual, Mr. Marc Morrison.
Howdy.
And well, we have plenty to talk about today, as it looked like there wasn't going to be a lot of news, and then all of a sudden it's like in the last few days, we just wanted to have a bunch of news. So we got Xbox deciding to, or Microsoft, I guess, deciding to do their usual thing. They have a great quarterly report for the most part, and then they announce that they're raising prices to everything basically except for Game Pass. We also got it feels like it was expected. We both predicted it at the beginning of the year, but then they kept making it seem like maybe it was going to come out, but the inevitable Grand Theft Auto 6 delay all the way to this time next year. Whole year.
Not really.
And yes, we have more. Marc has beaten Indiana Jones on the Great Circle. We've both been playing more Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Got more sad news with EA and some of their studios, and a whole lot more right after this.
You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
All right, so just to go ahead and get the housekeeping out of the way here, you can watch us live on Mondays at the 9 o'clock Eastern time or thereabouts on various platforms, either the YouTube channel, Twitch, or Facebook, W2 Network. So any of those things you want to follow, like, subscribe, whatever, ring that bell. It helps you. You get to know when we do a show live, and it'd be cool if you could go check it out while we're doing the show. If not, you can always watch on demand on the YouTube channel, and also you can just listen on demand wherever you want to listen to podcasts. Just go search Video Games to the Max. You'll find it there. And of course, if you subscribe, all that, you get to know whenever we do a show on the feed. You subscribe to the YouTube channel. Not only do you get our show here, but if you like other things like movies and TV shows and anime, we have shows for you there for that. So right now, actually, which of course you can listen or watch later as well, the Rather Broadcasting folks are doing their Thunderbolts movie review. So that'll be out there for you if you've been looking forward to the Thunderbolts movie, want to watch or listen to a review. They do a great job doing that stuff. Also, the seasonal anime, the spring anime season for 2025 is in full swing. Otaku Cafe has you covered with all of that. So go make sure you check them out if you're big into the seasonal anime stuff. But all right, that's enough for the promoting and all that for this episode. Let's go ahead and do the thing we usually do, starting out with the games we've been playing.
Sure.
Marc, you have beaten Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
Yep.
How? Any final thoughts? What do you think now that you've gotten through the whole game?
It was decent. I still don't like the last area, and they have too many collectibles in that game, I think. That aren't spelled out well, or you have to look up a guide on how to look where this damn note is or something. There are a bunch of trophies about getting all the all the collectibles. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
Right.
That's way too hard. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm sure there'll be another one because I think this was fairly successful.
Yeah. We'll see. I do hope we get another Wolfenstein or something before Machine Games just goes straight to this. Being a Wolfenstein fan, so
there was one kind of cool side quest where I had to help out this I think it was Norwegian or something, one of Indiana's students, and it was a really cool little side it felt very bespoke in the game, because most side missions you're just alone and just doing it whatever, but this one you had someone with you, and that's cool. And then she died, and then that was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I heard there's a big side mission that runs throughout the whole game. I don't know if you did that one or.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I did most of them that I could find at least.
Okay. Well, I
And
mean,
I
at
also
least
like barely, I like almost never used a gun in that game. Like there are a couple of sequences we kind of have to,
right.
but like 98% of the game, I just like punched my way through it. I even use a whip, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's
And
good that they give you different options. You know, you can grab a bunch of the weapons, or you can just use your fists. I know your gun. You're not really supposed to use your gun that much, so
right,
yeah.
right. The one funny part is you can really only stealth. You can stealth take out enemies, but only when you're holding like an item or a weapon.
Yeah.
And like pretty late in the game, you finally unlock the ability to like take out enemies unarmed, like stealthily. Like you can just do it. And I think this would have been helpful 10 hours ago, or like at the start of the game. But I think if they had it then, it would have just been with a complete cakewalk.
Yeah. I mean, at least they added a little bit of challenge too, but
Yeah. So yeah, I liked it. I may go back to a little just to kind of see if I can clean up stuff, or just follow a guide as much as I can and do it that way. But yeah, solid game overall.
yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and it was you know lived up to expectations for you, at least
Right.
on that. Anything else you've been checking out here?
Yeah. Well, we can talk about Expedition 33 in a minute, but
Yeah.
yeah, I've got some other crap. Diablo 4 and Infinity and Nikki kind of have new seasons going on like this week. That's why I've kind of been busy. Diablo, they've both been broken, so it's been fun.
They've both been wait, like you broke them or
Well, like
they're broken?
the updates are like busted.
Okay.
Diablo 4 introduced a new boss finally, who is a cakewalk. And they introduced a system. They kind of ditched their old season pass model of this, like 1 to 100 levels of crap. So now they
Yeah.
introduced a system called reliquaries, where they have like
Okay.
4 distinct like groups of stuff, like weapons or beasts. That's like mountain crap, and then uh I forget the third one. It might be more cosmetic. I mean, it's definitely more cosmetic crap. And then like the fourth is just for like the boss itself. And the boss one is kind of free. Like that's like their intro one.
Yeah.
Uh and you basically gain tokens. And like let's say you want like the new mount in the reliquary. It's like 10 coins. So you gain coins by killing enemies. Like they don't really tell you how much you need or how close you are. It just kind of randomly happens. Like sometimes I won't get one for an hour, and sometimes like I did one dungeon, I got 3 in like 10 minutes, and I was like, this seems weird, but okay.
Yeah.
uh, that reliquary system is busted. Apparently, I didn't think so. I didn't do this, but if you spent like the actual paid currency, it wouldn't unlock correctly, and your paid currency just kind of went away. Uh, Half the time, it doesn't even load correctly. It'll just say like reliquaries are unavailable. Uh, so it's like, all right, that's cool. Uh, so yeah, it's a system in flux.
Yeah.
And Infinity Nikki, it has outraged players a lot more than I have, but it downloaded an update and it installed an update, and then my game got downgraded to like 2 seasons ago, where like
Wow.
the previous season was like this like weird clown opening thing, and the
Yeah.
one before that was like this kind of gloomy castle piano thing, and I went to that one, and like I couldn't start the game. I pressed X and nothing would fucking happen. Like it wouldn't even like try to update. So I had to like download. I had to delete the game and re-download it completely.
Wow.
And it finally worked. And apparently, like they junked their original intro to the game, uh, which people liked. I thought it was fine, but they have like a whole new intro and whole new systems, and it's really overtly complicated. But that goes without saying for that game. And you look at the like information screen, and your eyes just glaze over because you're like, I have no idea what's going on in the screen, not even in the game, just the screen. Like there's like 40 options for buying currency, and I have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
So that's fun. Uh, what else? Oh yeah, I finally got a Taiko no Tatsujin drum. So I played.
Oh, I saw that you posted that.
Yeah, I played a lot of the old games because I actually bought it on PS4 and I still had it digitally, thankfully. Yeah, it's cool. My drum works because I bought one previously used and that didn't work correctly, and this one does. I'm a little hesitant. Like I see people playing that game and they're beating the shit out of this drum, and it's like I want this thing to last a little. Like I don't want
Yeah.
It's just like Rock Band drum. Like you can pound it, but it'll cut the lifespan of the thing from 5 years to 2 months or whatever. So
Oh, it's that fragile?
I mean, it's not that bad, but I mean, you're just wailing away at it, right? I see people going to town on it, and it's like, yeesh. So I'm trying not to do
It
that.
might be one
I'm
of
not,
those things that it looks worse than it actually is, or
yeah, maybe. So I'm trying not to go too hard on it. I'm not great at the game, but I enjoy it. It's actually kind of a nice little workout,
yeah.
if you do like 5 or 6 songs in a row, kind of. And yeah, I like it. I'll probably get the next game when it's on sale. I think the deluxe edition is right now, but it has like a ton of DLC. And it has like this like weird. I think they call it the Taiko Pass, where you get like access to all the DLC for like $4 a month.
Oh,
So
that's not bad.
I mean, that might be a way to go. And yeah, if you like anime music or Namco game music, or
That was one of the reasons why I always liked playing those games was the
right.
anime music.
It's a better rhythm game than Rock Band, I can tell you that.
I don't know about that. At least Rock Band, I can kind of tell where the music comes from and the beat and all that. It takes a lot with Taiko. So
hey, I recognize that Dragon Ball Super song.
yeah, that's true. All right, anything else?
No, and I can talk about Expedition 33 and why I think it's slightly overrated.
All right, let me just get this one other game that I've been playing that's not that game out of the way.
Right.
So I'm in the middle of writing the review. It's like a 2-hour game. But
right.
So if you haven't heard of this game, it's called Despelote. Or Despelote in Spanish. It is a mixture between it is a narrative game, to be just frank about it. So if that's not your bag, I will say the game is only 2 hours long. So
right.
It is really about like trying to tell you the story. But you also do play a game in it. It's really kind of just showing you like you're an 8-year-old kid. In the actual story, he was actually 4 years old when the game happened, but he says that he made himself 8 in the game because it makes more sense. He can actually kind of be able to relive it, and more people would be able to identify with that instead of being a 4-year-old. You're not going to be able to kick the ball around and stuff like that. So
right.
The game actually starts you out in an old version of like 1998, 1999, like Sega Genesis, even though it's PlayStation, like Sega Genesis type soccer. And it has the top down view, all that stuff. Like really easy mechanics of just push the guy out of the way and shoot and whatever, and it's fun. And he'll play that like several times throughout the game as you like are progressing. But the whole point is that it's based in 2001 before Ecuador had gone to the World Cup the first time. So you go through like the last 5 matches and qualifying. You're not playing them. You are the spectator for them as you like you can watch some of the game highlights on the screen on like TV screens around you depending on where you are. And then the rest of the time you're kind of like kicking the soccer ball around and doing kind of random stuff with the soccer ball until the game kind of like just moves you along by itself. But you learn things about how the country was going, what the country was going through at that time, and what it feels like to like the first time for a country to make the World Cup and all that, and what that moment is like. And then it kind of goes into the the kind of like looking back at it and everything. So it's a really, for like $15, if you're one of these folks that likes your narrative games, especially if you like soccer, I think this is a cool little thing to kind of experience.
Is the
It
soccer
is in
sensible?
Spanish, by the way. Also, there's subtitles, but it's spoken in Spanish. So for me, it wasn't difficult at all to understand what they're saying. In fact, it was actually cool to have a game where your people are speaking Spanish the entire time. You don't get that very often, so it is cool. What's up, Cube? Thank you for watching. So yeah, just wanted to give like a little mini review. I'll have the review up probably, if not today, tomorrow on the Outer Haven. So, and hopefully, I'm still waiting because it seems like nobody knows how to get a hold of the people that are doing the midnight walk. I don't know what it is. Those folks like apparently are just. It's like it's a mystery of how to get a hold of these people to see if we can get a review code for that. So I'm
Right.
hoping that's my next game. If not, then it'll be Doom in a week or so. So, but yeah,
Yeah, it's right up your alley.
yeah, yeah. So yeah,
You
go
missed
ahead.
my question earlier when I asked, is the soccer sensible?
No,
Drat.
but you know,
Mhm.
it's still fun. It's and there's achievements for playing the little game and doing stuff in it too. So it actually
Yeah.
is kind of worth going through and playing that. But all right, let's get to the game we've both been playing. Talked about it last week, but I've made some more progress. I think you're like almost close to where I was
Yeah.
when I
I'm
started.
pretty
So
hung up in it right now. I'm in a side area with a boss I can't beat, and it takes me a while to get back to where I have to go.
what area is it? I don't know if I
Golden
might have beat.
Harvest or Yellow
Oh,
Harvest
the
or
Yellow
something.
Harvest. Okay, I just beat that boss. I think yesterday.
Right.
Um,
And I'm trying to do it now, and yeah, you like one shot of me completely. So
so like, but what level is your group at? Because mine's
like
are like. Sorry, go ahead.
15.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm way more level than you.
Right.
My characters are like level 28.
Right.
So he didn't really do a lot of damage to me. Plus, um, he's
Yeah.
weak
Yeah.
to the element that I already had on most of my people before I even went in there. So I knocked them out pretty quick. It's just
Right.
more of the parrying, getting
Yep.
his parries down and whatnot. But yeah, that's probably a good indicator if he's one shotting you like that. Unless it's I don't know if you tried the enemy that's in that other cave that's like by itself towards the beginning of the area. I think it's like
Is he like a iron worker or like a
he
forge
has like
master?
a triangle on his head with like a
Yep.
looks like
I
a
did him.
flower on his stomach or whatever.
Yep.
You beat him?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was the only one that was like, okay, this one is meant for you to parry the whole time. You cannot miss.
Right. Yeah, it's like a
Um,
mini boss basically, or
yeah, it's like even if you miss, he's gonna one shot you. So
right.
um it took me a while. It took me like I want to say like 5 tries that I finally got it to where I didn't miss and all the killed him. So I was like, all right, sweet. And then you got a good Pictos out of it. So that's the thing I'll say. They definitely do give you like good rewards for going through those optional bosses and whatnot. So um you're like you got through Act 1 or you're still not done with
I'm
Act
still in
1?
Act 1. Yeah.
Okay. But you're
Like I'm
pretty
pretty
much
much
almost at the end of it.
I got to the point in the story. I just got this stupid big mount thing for the guy.
Oh, Eskia, you got Eskia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um so I'm in Act 2, but I'm pretty early on in Act 2.
Right.
Um like I haven't gone to actually because I've been doing like the just finding because there's the thing that I really like about the game is that there's like different little once you get to where you can swim with SKA, there's a lot of places you can just find, and then
Right.
there's sometimes like nothing there except for you're going in and you get an item and you leave. That's it. And then sometimes it's like, oh, okay, this is just meant for there to be the little boss, the mini boss of the area, and that's it. You know.
Yeah.
I just fought one before we started. It was like a boss that like shrinks the sides, and you have like 6 turns to beat him, or you'll die automatically. And I got him right before it was about to get to like the last turn, so that felt cool to
Right.
get through that. Yeah, so I mean, what I talked about it a lot last week. So, what are your kind of general thoughts on the game?
I think it's fine. I think it's a little overblown in spots. I actually think it's kind of abrasive looking. Like, it has a cool looking art style initially, or like parts of it look really cool, but parts of it look really ugly. I don't mean like like from a tech perspective. I mean like just artistically.
I mean,
My
I
two problems.
part of that I think is it's meant to be ugly because it is kind of a very sour world, very dour world.
Yeah, but even like the main like the starting town, like
Yeah, but I mean that's the whole point. That's setting the whole tone of the game for
right.
you.
My two biggest complaints with the game, it's something we've talked about. One is lack of manual saves. It auto saves, but not particularly well.
You
Or
can go back into your auto saves on the pause screen. I found that the other day.
okay,
Yesterday. You can go back to like your last 3 auto saves, I think.
Yeah, but why can't I just save anywhere? Or I can't, or why can't I? It does checkpoint you at.
That's one of those things like I don't understand if we're going back into trying to be kind of these older RPGs, especially from the Japanese inspiration. Like that was their whole thing was you had the manual saves,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Persona in here. Persona is built on you having a bunch of different manual saves. So
I mean, you can't save. You can't like in a dungeon. You can't save anywhere. But like it had the rooms, or you could always just bounce out of the dungeon, or like during the day.
Technically, you can on the world map. You can go camp anywhere, and that will become your new
Right.
save. So
yeah,
and it does save every time you get to a flag, also. So it's like
right. The biggest problem I have though is I want there to be like a map in the game. If not a mini map, that would be the most helpful. But at least like a general map of the area, and for both like the overworld and the like dungeon worlds, or the dungeons, because a lot of the paths are in the script, or it'd be helpful if I could just go, okay, I went left, now let's go right, or maybe have a map that like fills in as you explore the area. I mean, I can see why they might not want you to just have a map going like, hey, you started here, here's the boss point, or here's where it culminates. Rush it. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't have anything. So yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what the decision kind of was on that. Like, I can understand you want to let people explore, and there is moments of that for me. Like, I love it on the world map, right?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like it where I like I told you, I just finished that Yellow Harvest area, and it got to the point for me that I was just like, look, I'm sorry, but I'm looking up a guide because I'm tired of going around in circles.
Yeah.
I don't have hours and hours to dedicate to being in this one area. And I know that there's people that are going to be like, oh, you're taking away the sanctity of the game. And I was like, nah, bro, I'm sorry. I don't have 50 hours to give to this game.
Right.
Just to go in an area to find the mime that I want to go kill because I'm trying to, kill all the mimes. And then also like trying to find there are pictos that are important, or maybe not. I don't need all the little chromatic little things that update your weapons or whatever. I don't need all of those. I don't need every single chroma that it shows up. But it is, good. You don't ever know when the picto that you're missing is the one that actually might be a good one that you might have for later in the game, So
I feel like I haven't done it yet, but I feel like if I looked up a guide, which I inevitably probably will do, because I'm kind of getting frustrated with parts of the combat as well. Like, let's look up a guide for like what are the best pictos for each character, and just if I can get them quickly, just go out and get them.
Yeah, I mean the combat is it's obviously based on you. There's nothing that's gonna. You can build out your team obviously and have them leveled up to where if you have a weakness that's strong against
Right.
the that monster, you're gonna have an upper hand. But it's still really based on can you dodge, can you parry. To be
Right.
fair, the dodge is very very forgiving. You can even double dodge a lot of times. My
Yeah, I done
problem
that.
is it takes
Or,
a couple of times before you like don't dodge early and then get hit or whatever because they have that
right.
pause that happens. Um,
Or the stupid jump, which is like extremely ineffectual. It
no,
only
the,
works
the
on like
jump works. It's just there's enemies that like they're a little bit tougher on when they telegraph the jump, or the ones like some of the optional bosses where it's like, oh, he does it like 2 or 3 times in a row, and it's like, oh crap, I can't get it the second or third time, and then they whacked the party.
no, for the
My,
jump, it's just you only can use it for. I mean, it's really only useful against ground attacks. So it's like
right, but
okay,
there's like I ran into an optional boss that whooped me because he does like 3 ground strikes and you have to jump every time, but then it's not in the same sequence. He
right,
like you guess it the first time, and the second time it's like he waits, and by the time you don't figure it out, he knocked out 2 of the party members. So
yeah.
um
But I
they
mean,
do, yeah.
compared to like the regular attacks, it telegraphed the jump attacks so
Yeah, they
much.
do.
It's like holy Christ,
Yeah, I think that's meant to kind of
Well, it's meant to like
just
because you
give
don't normally
you
jump, so it's like yeah,
right.
like against this enemy, do it.
Um the only thing that's like kind of just because I did go through one of these, there's some not only just to get optional pictos and things like that, almost every level has like a weird platforming section that almost feels like they made the platforming bad on purpose.
Yeah,
Just almost like a joke because it's like, dude, there's no way somebody in testing thought this platforming feels good. Like it's so clunky, you're almost always gonna either miss or the character barely gets there and like hangs on and then gets over, and or like you'll run and it'll just not jump, and it's like, yo, I don't want to have to go in a circle again and do all that. And
yeah,
they have these parkour sections in beaches where you can get like swimsuits or other things. So it's not like you're missing something huge, but I tried to do it a bunch of times and it's like, dude, I had to have the camera like right behind the character the whole time because if not, they'll just fall off the freaking thing, or you'll jump and it'll totally miss, or you'll jump and they'll get stuck and then you have to repeat the whole level again. And it's like, wow, again, I feel like it's almost like a joke. It's almost like maybe it's just this is the one part of the game that they didn't really care about, but they've already had some of these sections in here that it's like they didn't have enough time to give to it or something.
right.
But dang, man, it just feels so off compared to the rest of the game that's very like precise and wants you to really, nail that or whatever. So um
I got
yeah.
stuck in that yellow harvest area because I jumped off where I shouldn't
Yeah.
have, and my character just kind of got like locked into place, or she kept bumping up
Or
against.
some of those ramps that you're not supposed to be able to go up, and if you
Yeah,
get too far on one side, it'll get your character stuck, and then I had to like restart or
yep,
um, so that's how I found the autosave thing was,
right,
oh, I can go backwards in my autosave. So okay, that's neat.
yeah.
Um, still enjoying the game for the most part. So you're not like totally digging the story too much then, or
I think the story's fine. Like, well, first of all, I actually think Charlie Cox does a really good job, and kind of a surprising job, because he
yeah,
doesn't voice act, or he's not like VO actor man. Like,
right,
uh, he does a good job, but like the over insistence so far on, I think her name is Morel, seems like
Mile,
really
yeah.
weird. Like, because they don't like they introduce her in the start, but like I don't know, she just
Well,
seems
she's
kind of
like his
bland.
only family, right? So
Yeah,
she's
but
like his
no,
little
he literally has
sister.
a sister.
Well, but that's like his other little sister. Like they took care of her since
But
she was even
but like
small.
they're
Yeah,
not like blood related. I mean, I think
they're
that
not, but it's almost like she's like the adopted sister or something.
yeah.
Yeah. So, they both took care of her between the actual sister and him. So
Right.
it makes sense.
But yeah, I like the. I'm bad with names, and especially in this game where the names are kind of dumb. The one chick who can fly, who doesn't wear shoes.
Lune. Yeah.
Yeah. She's cool. I like using her.
Have you used CL yet? The one that has the dark and light.
Yeah, because you
cards?
get her. Yeah, I did the whole town arena thing.
Yeah.
She's all right. I kind of wish you could have 4 characters in the battle or in the in the party, but I do like that they actually give you the option where, like, if your 3 main party members die, hey, it's like, hey, you got a last chance with this other character. Like,
Yeah, I think it makes more sense once you have like all the characters.
right.
Because then you'll have like a full party that you can then just unload if
Right.
your other
Or
party
yeah,
dies.
something goes bad. I think the way they do the like weird, like I'm kind of of two minds. I like the fact that there's actually like no MP in the game, and you don't got to worry about that bullshit. Like, it's like, oh, I don't have enough MP to cast fire. It's like, no, it's just AP. Like,
Right, and then it recharges. Yeah,
but I don't like the way they do items in the game. Like, I didn't. It took me a while to figure out what the hell the red, blue, green potions were in the map screen. I'm like, what is this?
I actually like that because you can't just potion your way out of stuff. You have to actually think about how many charges you have for that. And I mean, obviously, it makes it to where I can't ever take Luna out of my party because she's the healer. And,
right.
I mean, even though you can, like with Gustav, he has a healing. CL also has a healing.
That's what I'm kind of just specking my characters towards.
Yeah.
It's like I got Pictos that was like, okay, anytime you do a basic attack, you get 15% health back. So it's like, I just put that in everyone because you kind of have to.
Right.
And yeah, like it they give you some options for how you like want to make your characters, but like it's not as like free form as you might think, or a lot of stuff seems kind of useless. It's like, oh, you have a 20% chance to burn enemies if they're marked. It's like, A, I'm not marking enemies, and then B.
Well, but Marc is actually really good because if you mark them and then the next character, like let's say it's Mael and she's in her like stance where she does like 200% more damage, you're like doing
Right.
25-50% even more damage, so it kind of just depends on how you want to play them.
Right.
So like it's something that like for me it's fun getting to figure out some of these Pictos and like how they're gonna work with the character. And I love the fact that each character has their own like system, right? That you're playing with.
Right. It's not.
Yeah.
Like the Gustav is kind of like the most generic one, but everyone else has like weird shit going on. Which is emblematic of like he gets the most boring weapons, or none of his weapons can, like that I've found at least, have like cool shit attached to them.
Yeah, each weapon has a thing where
it has like level requirements, like levels. So
yeah,
like,
and then also the weapons will change based off of or how they adapt is based off of like what skills you've been pushing.
right.
So they have 2 skills that they're really maxing out.
Yeah.
So it's important. It's big on like knowing the different things that you can do with it, and I appreciate that they kind of took the time with all that to kind of give you different looks with people. So and wait till you get the Ben Starr character. He's also different. So
is he just another asshole with mommy issues like in Final Fantasy 16?
No. He has
good.
he has a big story behind
He has an arc.
he's there.
He has a character.
And then, you have they've shown him in the trailers, the
Right.
like baboon looking character or whatever. He's like a blue mage.
Right.
So, but all right. We will obviously talk about that.
It's still your game of the year, or so far. I mean,
yeah,
it's fine, but like, I'm not entirely sold on it. Quite
fair
yet,
enough. give it props for what it. I'm very happy for the team that they've sold 1 million copies and all that stuff.
Right.
It's good for them, good for the industry to have these things selling. These not have to be AAA games selling well.
Right.
So yeah, obviously a big win for Game Pass too. You know, when you can have a big month of April with all these games releasing on it. So
yeah.
But all right, speaking of Game Pass and Xbox, aside from the aforementioned GTA 6 delay, they've kind of had the most news happening this week. I guess I'm going to mention this part just because it makes sense with the next part. But they did have their quarterly earnings report. Their gaming revenue grew 5% based off of, Game Pass, Call of Duty, and Minecraft. Content and services grew 8%. PC Game Pass grew like 45% year over year. Obviously, it helps a lot that PC Game Pass is the cheapest option for Game Pass.
Yeah.
That gets you the actual day one, right? You're paying $8 less. But you obviously have to have the PC that can run those games. If you do, you save money. And then cloud also first time got 150 million hours used or whatnot. And then obviously it's now on LG TVs, which I mentioned last week that my TV can run it. I used it. As long as you're not playing I don't think Doom is going to be very good to play on your TV, but something like Clair Obscur actually plays pretty well. And if your TV has an Ethernet connection, it might even work better. I don't have I could if I wanted to, but I just don't have the Ethernet connected to it. But it worked pretty well, and I played South of Midnight worked really well on it and stuff like that. So just stuff that's not twitchy where you're gonna have the lag. It's the only issue you're gonna have there. But yeah, the only thing that looks bad for them, which has continued to be a problem for them, is the 6% drop in console sales, which not unexpected. It's apparently a little bit less than what they thought. They thought it was going to be worse. And all the stuff that came out in this month that has made them the number one publisher on the PlayStation Store will not be until next quarter. So Forza Horizon, Indiana Jones, Doom: The Dark Ages, and then the runoff from Expedition, which probably being on Game Pass has led people to buy it on PS5 and Steam. So and then having Call of Duty and all that from last year or from the last quarter, they're the PlayStation number one publisher, which is ironic and then also weird in a way.
Right.
Because they're supposed to be the rival. But it does show that their strategy is working. They're getting what they wanted, right? People are buying the games on PlayStation, on Steam, and it's helping them be able to justify having Game Pass for Xbox players because people are buying the game somewhere else. The only thing that this doesn't help is their next move, which obviously some of this is because of the tariffs on China, which are still sitting at 145% or whatever.
Right.
We don't know if by next week that changes, but the thing is that once they've risen the price, they're probably not going to be nice and bring it back down next week.
Even if somehow the tariffs went away completely tomorrow, they're not going to go oh, it's back to the normal price.
No, they're
not.
Going
to go all right.
Let's be honest here, and I don't know if Sony's going to move. They're probably going to wait this out a while because they've been shipping PS5s to the US like crazy ever since the tariffs started. There was, they hadn't taken place yet, but they were going to. So I wonder how much stock Sony has in the United States where this doesn't affect them quite yet. Obviously, if they start moving tariff, if he starts raising the tariffs up in the other regions where it's like 10% and he puts it back to the whatever percentage it was for those other countries, maybe that makes Sony have to move a bit faster on that. But also, they're the leader right now, so they don't necessarily have to move. But you think they will eventually? I mean, we know Sony's not very pro-consumer. You think they'll raise the price of all the?
I don't know, maybe as dramatic as this, but I could see them doing like $50.
Because they did. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. They did raise it in other regions. They just hadn't in the United States. So,
right.
Whereas,
or I mean,
the
alternative is I could see them just saying screw it and selling the console really at a loss just to get it out there, because then it's easier to buy. I mean, they'll be in the ecosystem, and then they'll be buying PS5 games.
Yeah, they could. I think they're probably going to stand pat on this for a while because they've already seen even though Xbox is obviously not pushing you to buy the console that much anymore, they've seen the blowback. And they've seen the blowback and then also, so part of this is, number one, the consoles went up. Okay. The Xbox Series S is now no longer a cheap console. It's almost the same price as the digital PlayStation 5 at $380. Which is ridiculous to me. Like, damn, you couldn't just make it $350. Like, it's almost not even worth buying at this point. The Xbox Series S 1 terabyte is $430, and that was $350. Xbox Series X digital is $550. The Xbox Series X, the one that I have, the regular console with the disc drive, is $600. And the 2 terabyte Galaxy Black is more expensive than a PS5 Pro, $730. Geez, you would have thought they would have at least, just for the sake of it, made it $699.
Yeah.
Damn, Microsoft, like, you really don't want to sell these things at a loss, huh? Even the controllers went up, which technically Sony did raise the price of their controllers as well. Theirs went up $5 randomly for no reason. It felt like. The DualSense is like $75 right now. The regular Xbox, controller is $65 instead of $60 now. The colored one is $70, and then it goes all the way down the line. The wireless controller, the Elite Series wireless one is like $200, and then in the US and the Canada, the headsets went up in price to $120 instead of $110. It did go up in other regions as well, the controllers and the consoles, but it wasn't as much as we've seen in the US, obviously Australia. Anytime they go up, it's like ridiculous, and I feel bad for them, honestly. But if it wasn't clear, they really, if you're buying an Xbox console right now, I don't know what to tell you. I feel bad if you're spending that money, but I think it's inevitable that Sony will raise price, but I don't think they need to do that right now. And the other big thing that happened here, even though it's not happening until the holidays, so you'd imagine that Call of Duty, whatever the game is going to be the first $80 game. And then I don't know what's going to come after that. They really haven't. They really only announced after Doom. We don't know really what's coming out for Xbox except Call of Duty at some point. So this showcase will really give us what's going on with the holiday season. Is it going to be Gears? Is it going to be? I'd imagine with the other news that happened today, that means they probably feel good about Gears coming out in the holiday season. I don't think you would release that. What we're going to talk about in a little bit here, if you're not releasing that other game, but we'll see.
Brute Force 2. Let's go.
Definitely. But yeah, the thing is, games are going to be $80 now from Xbox's side. Doesn't mean every game. It's pretty much the Nintendo system of this, where they're going to use variable pricing. We did already see South of Midnight was cheaper. That was what, $40. We've seen and Compulsion had a few interviews this week, and they said that they have their own purpose at Microsoft, and it's not to make blockbusters. They're there to make the boutique games, and I think that's fine. I think in your whole assets of studios, you should have studios that aren't there to just make the next big blockbuster game or whatever. You should have a varying difference of studios. I don't know. I mean, it feels like Sony, every studio has to make the next big game for them. Whereas, obviously Microsoft has a lot more money. They can afford that.
I mean,
but
sure, I guess, but A, like, I wouldn't say Compulsion Games makes boutique games, and then B, like,
Start the Midnight's not a AAA game. Come on. And neither was Be Happy Few.
Okay, but like their boutique games don't do particularly well. Like, I'm not even talking sales on them, I'm just talking like critically. Look at
Start the Midnight
2.
Was the best version of it. I mean, Hellblade 2 won awards. That's what they want from that game, right? It won the awards they wanted them to win. It didn't win Game of the Year, obviously, because it wasn't that great of a game, but it won other awards, and that's what they wanted. They wanted that technical recognition from that studio to be able to say that, I guess, because
But also what I was gonna say is like Microsoft isn't like killing it on the blockbuster front either.
Indiana Jones is doing pretty all right.
I guess I'm talking like, well, okay, core Microsoft isn't doing too well. Let's say that.
Yeah, I mean, Forza Horizon 5 already has 1 million copies, I think, on day one on PlayStation. So, obviously we don't know when Forza Horizon 6 is coming, but we'll have to see with Gears whenever Gears 6 comes. Oblivion did well in getting people to be excited about whatever the next Elder Scrolls thing is, but even though that's a ways off.
Right.
Look, Starfield didn't set the house on fire. I think that's a no doubt. It did pretty good sales wise, but it didn't, like, they were expecting the DLC to really push people into buying that game or getting something out of that game, and that DLC didn't do anything.
Right.
So, and it was actually disliked by a lot of people that actually like Starfield. So it says a lot about that. But yeah, go ahead.
That studio has always struggled with DLC. I think Fallout 3 did it best, I guess, but
yeah,
that's about it.
But speaking of things that we didn't expect, the price increases or whatever, especially Xbox. So like they have good moments, like the quarterly earnings, and the next day they're announcing price increases. It just makes no sense. I don't know. You couldn't have waited a week. I don't know I guess it's because the start of the month. I don't know if it's something to do with like they needed to announce this so they could actually ship out more consoles. I don't know what the reasoning is for it, but it's weird. But then even, I guess, more strange for a lot of people that are still on that train of there's certain games they just shouldn't be breaking the barrier of the Gears, Forza, and Halo. Well, we already saw Forza Horizon 5 come out this, in the last couple of weeks. Now it's going to be Gears. The Gears 1 remaster from many years ago has been remastered again. So it's essentially like the Last of Us treatment. Right. They've optimized it for 4K. It's going to have all these nice bells and whistles that you would imagine a game that comes out in 2025 would have. So if you want to play the best version of Gears of War 1, you'll be able to do that now on August 26th. And it will be coming to the PlayStation 5 or PlayStation systems for the first time ever. So, yeah.
Well, officially,
interesting times. It was still weird. It was still weird to see like PlayStation saying something about that on the PlayStation like Twitter account.
Right.
It's like, all right, this is actually happening. Just get ready for that, but yeah, I'm waiting for, are we going to get a Halo announcement at the showcase, and there you go. It's all out there. Like, it's funny to me just to see that. Like, I wonder if we're gonna get the remaster. There was a rumor for a while that there's a collection for 2, 3, and Judgment, all remastered. So I
Right.
wonder if this is just the start of that, or if this is the only one, and they'll see how this goes, and then they'll decide to remaster the other ones. But what do you think? You think we're
That'd be
getting
my
the
pick.
other ones?
I mean, I think if this does well, they'll do it. But if it doesn't, they'll just say, all right, screw it. You know, I mean, they may put it out a little, or just put them all out as they are. But why invest the money if they're not going to get to see the return?
I just really think that at this point, if you're releasing this remaster, they know for sure Gears E-Day is coming this holiday. You already delayed Fable.
Well, E-Day kind of has to come this year because they don't got anything else.
I mean, they could have something else like that we just don't. One of these other games.
I mean,
they've shown
Doom
trailers
is coming
for,
out. Like you just said next week, but like,
yeah.
are people gonna like think about that 6 months from now, or
No, I mean they have to have a holiday game. We saw
Yeah.
what that does, right? We saw what Indiana Jones does coming out in the holidays. People were playing it. People wanted it to be nominated for Game of the Year, and it couldn't be, at least for the Keeleys,
right.
because it missed a date. So it's like, okay, you definitely got to have something, and they did. There's a lot of rumors that Gears is coming. It makes sense because this stars Dom and Marcus, and that's all what
Yeah.
Gears 1 in that original trilogy is. So, I think if there's a time, that's it. You're
I don't think they're gonna pull a Resident Evil though and go like, okay, this is the old one, and now we're gonna make Gears of War 6. I think if this does well, or I mean E-Day, sorry, like
Gears 6 is already in development. They just kind of, I don't know if they just have a smaller team working on that while they do E-Day, or a smaller team is working on E-Day, whatever they're doing.
I mean, I think a problem.
This is the game that whatchamacallit, People Can Fly is helping them work on.
Right.
So,
but I think the problem of Gears of War 4 and especially 5 is they don't like the new characters. People don't like the new characters.
Well, I feel like they got to finish the trilogy, and I'm sure they'll find a way to stick.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
They'll just say screw it and make a new one. It's like what they're going to do with Mass Effect.
I don't know. They've already said before that Gear 6 is still coming. Because that was a question, and people
I mean, it'll be Gear 6, but they'll kill off the new girl in like 10 minutes, and it'll be like old ass Dom or old ass Marcus Phoenix again. He'll be like 70, wearing the COG armor, and John DiMaggio will really sound like Bender when he's doing the voice now.
Yeah, I mean, you're not kidding. It's a lot there. But yeah, I mean, look, we'll see what happens with that. Whether we get the whole collection, whether this is just the first of many, and they'll go by how this does, or they'll announce the rest of it at the showcase.
I could see them doing 2 and 3. I really doubt they'll do Judgment because people don't like that one.
I just feel like if they're gonna do them, they're gonna do all of them. It's just kind of like Halo. It's like there's people that love ODST and Reach, there's people that don't care about, and they found a way to even push them into the collection when they weren't supposed to be part of it because of as a mea culpa for the multiplayer not working. And this one also has multiplayer, I should have mentioned, and it does 120 FPS in multiplayer also. So people that were worried about the collection wouldn't have multiplayer, don't know if that means that 2, 3, and Judgment won't have it. But which I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, because there was such a big debacle for the
the Halo
3 and all that Chief Collection. They had to go through all the overhaul to get that to work. Like, I bet they're kind of like looking at that and go, do we really need to have all that for all these old games of Gears?
I would say I think they do, but the difference is, like, I think Gears has pretty much stayed the same multiplayer wise. They had new weapons and shit, but like I couldn't tell you Gears 1 from Gears 3 or whatever.
It's a narrative. It's more of a narrative.
Well, I meant like the multiplayer part.
Yeah, definitely.
I
That
mean,
was all about that's when the horde mode was
yeah.
kind of
They added that,
new,
and they added like a lot more cosmetic DLC.
right?
But it's still you run into dudes and chainsaw 'em. It's not
Exactly.
like the Lancer had 2 more bullets in Gears of War 2, and that changed the rule system entirely.
Yeah, for sure.
So I could just see him doing like basically like an all-star Gears of War online, multiplayer mode, where it's just like, here's all the maps.
Right.
We're only gonna set it in whatever Gears 3 rule set or whatever. Go at it,
Sure. But all right.
Here's more rainbow gun-colored skins for you.
Yeah. But we go from introducing a game to the first time for PlayStation to talking about PlayStation and Sony. They did announce the PS Plus Essential games for this month, which go live starting tomorrow or later today, whenever you're listening.
Yeah.
So Ark Survival Evolved, or Ark Survival Ascended, is the remaster of Ark Survival Evolved. That's coming for PS5 only. Then you're also going to get Warhammer 40,000 Bolt Gun. They've been doing a lot of Warhammer lately on PS Plus, and then also Balatro. If for some reason you still haven't played Balatro, you didn't play it on Game Pass, you didn't play it on anything else, you can now get it on PS Plus. So there you go. No excuse. Go play Balatro. It's a great game. Go enjoy that. Get addicted. Whatever.
Right.
You can just enjoy it as part of your service. Interesting thing. Not too surprising considering that, like, Media Molecule is kind of like, I feels like they're hanging on by a thread after Dreams finally ended. And then like the team that's been helping with the last Sackboy game, Sumo Digital or whatever, is owned by Tencent. So it's like Sackboy is kind of in the periphery. He's definitely old hat at this point. It's all about Astro. And unfortunately, that means that Sackboy is no longer a major character for PlayStation Productions, and never has this been more true than apparently people that watch I don't know why you would, but if you really wanted to go watch that Until Dawn movie, apparently the intro for that, Sackboy is no longer in it. So
my world is now shattered. I mean,
sad days for.
I never liked Little Big Planet to begin with, and like you kind of said, I'm surprised Media Molecule's still around, and you can say that about a lot of developers. I mean, it's funny, developers are getting shut down, but it's like some of them are still going on. Like, what did it look up?
What, for Sony or for?
No, just in general. Twisted Pixel.
Yeah.
They got bought by Meta like in 2017. They made like 2 or 3 crappy VR games, and they haven't done shit in 5 years. Or,
well, I mean, I don't want those people losing jobs. So to be fair,
I'm not saying I'm not here going like, oh, they're failures and they need to be fired. I'm just going like, what's going on, or Double Fine, like.
Well, I feel like we're gonna get something from Double Fine at the showcase. It's been long enough.
I just find Double Fine interesting because in the 360 era they pumped out like 6 games in like 4 years, and at least half of them were good. And since 2020, they made 1 game that was fine, I guess. I don't think it was my favorite game, but
I really love
okay.
that game, but
I like the first one more. I can tell you that.
But the thing is, that's just game development in a nutshell now. Like, everybody that works at for a big company, your games are just taking longer, whether it's because you have to have a bigger scope on it because you're getting all that money, or I mean, look at South of Midnight, man. That game's been worked on since 2018 and it just came out now. Same thing with look how long it took them to make Hellblade. Look how long it takes Sony to make these games, it's just
that's why I think the idea is they're making boutique games doesn't fly, because
I think that's a little bit different now, in that was in the era of Microsoft was hands off. Microsoft is now much more hands-on. After the failure of Redfall, they no longer want to let you just stew on your game and take forever and ever and ever. You got Big Daddy Microsoft watching you now. Satya Nadella and all those people are not going to be sitting there letting you just waste money making games like that. You got to be good doing progress, all that stuff. So, I don't think we're going to have game studios in general are going to have to, whether it's you get smaller, make smaller games or less budget in the games, but they're going to have to figure out a way to take less time making a game because it just takes too long. It's too long. Like, it's incredible how we're talking about like, oh, we're only going to get one, aside from like Nintendo that's just what they do, right? They just do one Zelda. I mean, it was a big deal to get Tears of the Kingdom again. Normally it's just one Zelda per generation. Like what we have with Mario, right? One 3D Mario. But the other ones, like, look how quickly but obviously these games were smaller in scope, right? We weren't having $300 million budgets or whatever in that time where you could make 4 Gears of War games in one thing. Even Halos didn't take that long, right? Or the Sony games didn't take that preposterously long like they do now. So it's like, look at Ghost of Yote, man. I mean, that's what, 5 years from when Ghost of Tsushima released. That's incredible. It's same thing. Death Stranding. Look, that's like what, 5 years, 6 years from when Death Stranding 2 is releasing. So, and I know that's a Kojima game or whatever, but it's still.
I look at like 5 years as kind of a long time, but like the fact that like Nintendo didn't pump out a new Mario game, and it's been 8 years, and they haven't even announced.
Yeah. Well, we don't know. We don't know if they're gonna. That's their big surprise for the June. They're gonna have some kind of thing in June, right? The system just came out. The next thing people want to know is what's coming besides Donkey Kong, right? What's coming, and that's going to give you what's coming till the end of the year and more. They definitely got to be having a showcase in June. I feel like so. But as far as the rest of PlayStation stuff, there's only one other thing that's like PlayStation, I guess, exclusive is Lost Soul Aside. The delay that kind of went under the radar because of the other big delay. This is that Project China game this is the one that has a lot of press, unlike AI Limit that kind of just feels like it's just going to come out and do all right. This is the one that kind of looks like Kingdom Hearts and
it's a surfing one, air surfing.
Yeah, and it's supposed to come out at the end of this month. But now it's going all the way till August 29th. Which, man, that's a big delay. I mean, if it's going to help the game be better, then all props to it, I guess. But yeah, I kind of wanted to be playing this game already. I was kind of looking forward to this being like the end of my next game after Doom, and then I guess we're just gonna wait now. So,
I can play through Expedition 33 again.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, look, I'm all for this game being delayed, but this game's been worked on for years now. Another game that's like perpetually being delayed. It's been in development for like 5 or 6 years too, and feels like this thing should have came out years ago, and it's still not coming. So, look, hopefully this is the last delay. It's coming, and that's it. We'll see. But now we're getting more towards the fall territory. Like, people are going to be buying, Madden and the other games by then, and not necessarily putting money towards this. So we know one game where nobody's buying this year, and that's Grand Theft Auto 6. That has been delayed till a tentative date of May 26, 2026.
I see that as October.
Yeah, that's getting delayed again. those games always get delayed at least twice. Jason Schreier did say that nobody's crunching, so that's positive. And even the developers never believed that it was coming this year. That tentative date of whenever in the fall was just not going to happen. There was too much going on, too much left to do.
Right.
I think all of the developers that wanted to release a game this year are like breathing a sigh of relief, like, oh, thank God. We can now release our game. I wonder what Microsoft is thinking, because they delayed Fable probably for that reasoning of we wanted to get out of the way of GTA, and now that's moved. Even though, to be fair, they have like 4 months to release that game before you get to May. So
I still don't think Fable's coming out next year either. So
no, I definitely think it's coming. They haven't shown much. Maybe they're waiting for that showcase to really show you a lot. But
I know Perfect Dark is in trouble, but I see that more coming, because at least they showed off gameplay of that.
Yeah,
not pre-alpha gameplay either. It looked fairly polished.
But to be fair, like Fable, you kind of know what it is. Maybe they're waiting for a big blowout at the showcase, and that's going to be like their main game they're going to show or something, and that's why they don't want to show a lot. Or at least, maybe that's what I'm hoping for, just because that is one of their big franchises, and you think that that's coming, but
they'll just get they'll get like Richard Ayoade to be to host it, or to do.
Yeah. Oh God, don't do the host thing. But I mean, the bigger thing is kind of like, this is a shot to the industry that thought they were going to have a big 1-2 punch this year. The Switch 2, that's coming next month. That's, the systems are already here. Nothing's stopping that from launching. Mario Kart World's coming. That's going to sell like crazy. The pre-orders are already sold out. But the other part of it was Grand Theft Auto 6 was supposed to be, oh, this is going to get all the consoles to sell that haven't been selling. This is going to move Xboxes. This is going to move PlayStations. Much like college football did last year. Where, there hasn't been a third party that really sells consoles, and Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be that. Like, do you think this is a major blow now? Like, according to data that's been put out, technically they dropped 1%, which, 1% of whatever the billions of stuff that the gaming industry makes is like, nothing. But when it comes to people's jobs and everything, as we're about to talk about, it does matter, right? And it was funny because, all this hubbub about like Randy Pitchford had to go out and say that they didn't move Borderlands 4's release date to September 12th because of, GTA 6, whatever. And then like a couple days later, they announced this delay, and it's funny because everybody's like going, yeah, whatever, Randy, we know that this is coming. And then it's like, oh, he was actually right. Okay, whatever.
Did you watch that
thing? No, I did not watch that.
Good.
I was going to, and then I was just like, it's Borderlands. Kind of know what that is. I heard good things. And obviously they did. It seems like they lived up to what they meant when they said they weren't going to be dropping as many stupid jokes and all that kind of stuff. But
I hear Claptrap only took a dump on 3 people this time, so
oh Lord,
it's an improvement. And it'll cost $10 extra to have Jack Black voicing Claptrap in the game.
Yeah. But do you like? I guess should people be concerned that GTA is not coming, or
no? I think that people have this whole big fear of it, or like they're trying to get out of the way and all that crap. It's like, no, have some balls and just release whenever your game is done. Release it. Don't worry about this nebulous thing that'll take at minimum another year, if not another year and a half, or possibly even 2 years, because I have a feeling that game is like having feature creep right now, where they just keep adding more and more shit into it.
Oh yeah, definitely. They said that they basically are making their own roadblocks in there with like they already have like content mills that are ready for Grand Theft Auto 6 Online to like make sure that thing lasts for like 10 years or whatever. So yes, it's exactly what you're saying. They have all of this content that they are pushing for this game.
Right.
And they want to make sure that all of that is available day one. They don't want to have to release
did
that
you
in
play
parts.
GTA 5?
I played like bits and pieces of like the beginning of it. I've never actually played through a big chunk of it.
Yeah,
Just
I
GTA is
didn't
not
think
my.
so. I mean, I played through it
Yeah.
basically twice. Like first when it came out, and then I think like later on PS5 maybe.
Right.
But like, I have no interest in GTA Online. Like, period. Like
Yeah.
if they released a copy of GTA 6 where it's just like, hey, this is a single player for $40, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna get that.
I
I don't care.
definitely know people that's the game they play, man.
Oh yeah, I'm not
Like,
saying I'm not saying like people who play it are bad. I mean, I think they're dumb, but they're not bad. But like,
everybody has their like persistent game that they play, you know, for the
excuse me
most
while I
part.
play Infinity and Nikki.
Yeah, yeah. Excuse you, Mr. Infinity Nikki over there.
But like,
Yeah.
I think like them devoting. I mean, yeah, it's going to be their big cash maker for the next 20 years, but I would just be happy if they released the game, like the single player content now, like basically what they did with GTA 5.
Yeah, I do wonder if like they are gonna go that route of do they release it in parts? Do they?
No.
Yeah.
It has to be day and date this time because I want to get the big groundswell of everyone buying it. And
but nobody's not gonna buy that game. I mean, like whether you have the online there at day one or not, they're gonna buy just to go through the story and do random shit in that game.
You won't.
I'm buying it because of where it's set, and I want to see like what
Florida man.
Yeah, all that is. But also, do you think that it's gonna wind up being $100? I feel like I keep seeing it.
I think it'll be 100 for like the collector's edition or for some digital deluxe version, and they'll release like some $200 collector's edition where it comes with like another duffel bag and locker or some bullshit. But I think 80 and then 100.
Yeah, I definitely don't. I definitely think that the whole
and it'll be like
going to be $100 is overblown.
The base game will just be 80, but like the digital deluxe version will be like, oh, you get $500,000 in GTA Online cash, or you get like
or get
the
first. I don't know how many updates of GTA Online you get that included if you buy.
GTA Online has always been kind of free.
Yeah, I'm talking about. I wonder. They canceled the DLC that was for GTA 5 because of GTA Online doing so well. I wonder if they'll actually do it this time. If it does well, that's going to be interesting.
I mean, I guess it depends on if how much you like the characters. That'd be nice, but I doubt it because if I just want to see, why bother making single player DLC when a small fraction of the audience would buy it, when a larger fraction of the audience will buy some stupid car that is shinier than the last one.
Yeah, that's true. I think right now it's like, honestly, we've had a really great start to the year from like January to all the way up to Summer Game Fest. We're going to have, there's been stuff to play, some major games that have released, so it's not like this year's, and then, you got Switch 2 coming, even though this is probably one of the most lackluster outside of Mario Kart World, like lackluster launch lineups we've seen in a while, even though the PS5 and Series X didn't have like amazing launch lineups either, outside of Forbidden West, I guess. But like I am gonna be interested to see like what's Nintendo gonna pull out aside from the stuff that not that any of that's too shabby, right? Like a new Pokemon game, a new Metroid, a new Donkey Kong. None of that's like, oh, that's just nothing, right? Those are big games in some of their major franchises. But like, people are waiting. Is that 3D Mario gonna come this year? Is that gonna be the big game that people are gonna kind of go after when we're talking about this fall? Like what's the GTA 6 was supposed to be like kind of the catch-all of what are you playing from, say, October to December? Well, GTA 6, right? Now it's like, well, okay, what's out there? Obviously, we haven't had Summer Game Fest and any of that stuff to kind of like get us to that point, but we'll see. Obviously, look, GTA 6 was going to be this huge boon for selling consoles, for everything. It was going to be the game that got people back into gaming that maybe aren't playing or whatever. And I understand that point. But hey, you know what? That can just happen next year when those consoles are even older, and we're probably even. I wonder if this delays some of that talk of next gen, because people are going to be sitting there going, "Well, I just bought this thing," and then now we're already talking about whatever the next Xbox thing is and PS6. Like,
Right.
I wonder if that gets them to delay that a year more, because they're going to feel like, okay, well, I just got into this generation. What else is out there besides, GTA 6 for me to buy? And then, although this did happen the last time GTA came out, where it came out at the end of the generation, and then here they are at the beginning of the next generation. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Just like Rhythm Heaven.
Yeah, exactly. Just like Rhythm Heaven and Tamagotchi or whatever too. All that. Yeah, let's move on to, I guess, one game that we know is coming, even though we don't really know when it's coming. The Echo the Dolphin creator, Ed Annunziata, got interviewed by Xbox Wire, because this is the beginning of Asian and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and he mentions that him and the original team are going to be doing a remaster of the original Echo the Dolphin and the Tides of Time game. Not that Echo the Dolphin was like some amazing. I don't know, where do you stand on the Echo the Dolphin?
It's I wouldn't say it's a Ponzi scheme, but it's like a bait and switch kind of.
Why do
Because
you say that?
everyone played it as a kid, and it's way too hard to fucking figure out. So you just go around the first level, like jumping out of the water and sonaring the map, but that's about it. You can't actually like progress through the game. And so you're like,
to be fair, these games are like early 90s.
yeah, that's when we were alive. I mean, you were 7 or 6 or 7, and you probably played it. You know what the fuck? It's like, hey,
I did not, because I did not have a Sega, but sure.
I played it I played it in stores, or the Dreamcast one is cool because that actually had like tutorials, or it had shit for you. I mean, it guided you a little, but Echo 1 and 2, forget it.
I remember playing the Dreamcast one because I don't know why my dad bought it for me when he just bought me a bunch of Dreamcast games one, I don't know if it was my birthday or Christmas. And I remember playing that thing for like a couple hours and being like, what the hell is this? What am I supposed to be doing? And this never played it again.
That's like way better than the first two, like forget. So yeah, I think they said like, I think I read some interview with the guy, and he was like, "Oh, we intentionally made Echo the Dolphin 1 fucked hard because we didn't want kids like beating it and selling it back to the store." It's like, okay, get wrecked, like
it was cool, like for its time, to see like the graphics with the dolphin and sound design was good in that game.
Yeah, good soundtrack. It was unique. I'll say that, but it doesn't make it good. I mean, you could. That's like the same thing you could say about like Comic Zone back in the day. It's like, this is a really great looking game. Sounds great. Really cool premise. Until you play the fucking thing, and then you're like, this is a pile of garbage.
Not wrong with that. But all right. I mean, apparently there's a countdown clock that goes down till April 26th of next year. So we're already, detailing games from next year. But that's cool. If you're a fan of Echo the Dolphin, I guess you know that you're getting more Echo the Dolphin games, and there's another new Echo the Dolphin coming, as is Sega's MO right now with their old franchises. They're kind of bringing a bunch of them back. So
I mean, I could see him doing Echo 1 and 2, like a quick remaster, or just apply some filter on it to make it look slightly better. But
Yeah.
that new Echo the Dolphin better be an FMV game with the dolphin from Sequest.
Yeah, sure.
They can't get Jonathan Brandis back, God rest his soul, but they can get the Sequest dolphin back, and Michael DeLuise will be in it as well.
All right, we finally got to get to some crappy news. Look, nobody wants to see price increases for Xbox, but also, like, again, how many people are buying Xbox consoles, and also you don't need to buy those consoles.
Right.
Whereas people losing their jobs always sucks. EA laid off people at 2 different studios this week. One of them being Codemasters, which they outbid Take-Two by like $500 million to make sure that they won for $1.2 billion so they could acquire all those racing franchises. And now they're like done with all of them except for F1. And even F1, if it wasn't because F1 itself is popular, they probably would be dumping that too.
No, I think they're still making WRC games as well.
Well, the WRC, that's where they ended the partnership. Or they ended the partnership with they ended the partnership with WRC. They did not renew that.
Oh. So they made one WRC game and then they're like, all right, fuck this.
Yeah, it's basically
that
you know, remember they basically, before they even were making any more games, they pushed the Dirt team into the same team with the Need for Speed people. So they didn't even get to make another Dirt game.
Right.
Even though, you know, to be fair, that Dirt game that came out with the launch of the PS5 and Xbox
that was bad.
Great. But yes, that the whole point of this is that they've ended their partnership with the World Rally Championships, the WRC. Like,
so I thought that was still going on. I thought like they're just like, all right, we're putting dirt
that's part of this layoff. Part of it is that they've ended that, so they no longer need the teams that were working on that game or those games to basically essentially be part of Codemasters. You know, it really sucks to see this again. Some of them are going to get redeployed to other areas of EA Sports, but still, like, you know, even the F1 games haven't done that well. They released that like Project Cars. They didn't do that great either. That was terrible.
Yeah. The bummer is like the WRC franchise has sucked pretty much since the get-go. And like the one that Codemasters did actually was like halfway decent, or you know, like that was like the good one because it's Codemasters and they know what the fuck they're doing.
But now it's like it feels like they almost know that they made a mistake. It's almost like, okay, well, we got all these racing franchises and nobody cares,
right?
And now what do we do with these people, or you know, these teams or whatever? And it's like, I don't know, maybe let somebody make Burnout.
No.
You know, I don't know, man. It'd be nice. Like, it's the one franchise people actually want to see from them that's not Need for Speed or...
It's the same rationale as like the Ubisoft Splinter Cell things is people want this franchise, they can go fuck themselves. We're just going to keep piling it on, you know, making our own crappy thing.
Well, I mean, technically, most of Criterion is doing whatever the heck the next Need for Speed thing is. But it's just like
Burnout has basically only had 4 games, or actually, 5. I'm not counting like the PSP crap or like the PLA thing. But like, I don't like Burnout Paradise personally, but I can still see it's a good game. And like all the Burnout games have been good. And Need for Speed, they've made 20 Need for Speed games, and only 4 have been good. You know, like, so it's like, yeah, I'd probably roll the dice on another Burnout. So A, you don't have to worry about like car licensing, and then B, like, either better than average shot of it, like doing well.
That's part of it too, right? It's the same thing of like, you know, supposedly part of this is also down to because they laid off people outside of EA Sports as well.
Right.
And it is down to EA Sports FC did not do the numbers that they've talked about that they needed, right? And that stuff matters because, like you mentioned with the car games, part of this of why it costs so much to make a car game and why it's not small that they've had to cut some of this is the licenses for that stuff. It's you're paying money. Think about like every time you got to have Porsche, all the Porsche cars, all the McLaren, Maserati, all that, and Ford and Nissan and whatever else, you got to pay all those licenses. So it's just like EA Sports FC. The thing people don't really think about is that, oh man, that game makes so much money. Ultimate Team, oh my god, the licenses for each individual soccer league are separate, and that costs more than just having the one NFL or the one. I guess NHL is the only other one EA still makes. Like they're paying up the wazoo to retain those club licenses that they allow them to leave the FIFA license in the dust, and they have to keep paying it. Now they've made all these deals with like the Premier League and La Liga and all that stuff to kind of like get more bank out of it, but it's like, yeah, man, like, and I'm sure all that money that they made, I mean, college football, that was no pretty penny. I'm sure they paid a pretty penny for that too. Now, obviously that made its money back. With the grandness of last year, but it's going to be really interesting now that game has been out for a year. Does 26 even get anywhere near as close to 25? Because 25 was like, oh, there's been 11 years since we've had a new EA college football game. Now it's like, oh, we just had one last year. This is not a big deal, right?
Right.
So I mean, but Madden sells like crazy every year. You add another game onto that. Does that help subsidize some of the losses from other places? But again, like that stuff matters when you're EA, and like every game you basically release, aside from whatever Joseph Fares releases, is like a license of some sort. So I'm sure they're still paying a lot for the Star Wars games that they still are releasing. So it sucks. I hate seeing this for Codemasters.
Like they weren't my favorite developer ever, but I think Dirt 2 was like one of the best racing games, period.
Yeah.
And they were a solid developer of racing crap. And to see him basically taking the Criterion route of being EA's bitch and having their soul destroyed.
To be fair, they don't really have a choice in the matter. So,
I mean, hey, the people just got laid off. They could form a new studio, and
I hope that's what we see out of it. But it's difficult now because
I mean, the people that I'm still waiting for that Criterion. The guys who made Criterion or Burnout, like they made those two awful, dangerous driving games. But they're supposed to come out with some new racing game that fell off the planet, or I don't know what the hell happened to that. But that was like that weird like track forming around you thing, or like.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't heard hide nor hear of that. So hopefully it comes out and is good.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of that crowd is on PC now. Also, the ones that really like racing games outside of the Forzas and Gran Turismo. So
I think the word like iRacing. I mean,
the iRacing stuff is
big. There is a market for off-roading simulation game, but you kind of have to. I wouldn't say at the right scale, and that's not what EA wants their scale to be.
Yeah, EA doesn't. Outside of again Joseph Fares, they really don't know, like, or their indie label, they really don't know how to do. Let's do smaller scale thing. Everything they do is some big production, which understandable. It's EA. That's what they're used to doing. Speaking of that, also, they also let go of several members of Respawn, which is also upsetting. They canceled the supposed Titanfall extraction shooter. that was being made, even though I think nobody ever really saw it. So 100 staff have been laid off, with a further 200 to 300 across other departments at EA, and then plus whoever were released from Codemasters. So talk about probably like 400 people probably lost their jobs in this week, which is absolutely awful. Really sucks to see these big companies have to lay off, all these workers. Hopefully they all find a job soon. But apparently they had 2 early incubation projects. One of them was that aforementioned Titanfall extraction shooter. Along with, they are making Star Wars Jedi 3 and then whatever they're doing with Apex Legends. I don't think we even know what that other one was that they were making. But yeah, this sucks about just they've been losing money because FC25, Dragon Age of Velgar, didn't meet their expectations, quote unquote. They've already had layoffs last year as well.
I mean, that's another consequence of putting all your eggs in 1 or 2 baskets, and then if they don't deliver, it's like, well,
yeah, they canceled that Star Wars game from a few years ago as well. So it's like,
yeah.
That's
why diversification is key, not being like Activision where they got 1 game.
Yeah, but Activision can afford that when you got Candy Crush just selling loads of money all the time and whatever. But EA doesn't. EA has their mobile games, right? And the sports versions of those games that they already put on console, and then I guess Plants vs. Zombies and whatever other thing they have going on. But still, just then they got Battlefield, whatever's going to happen with that, which apparently they were waiting for Grand Theft Auto 6 to figure out where it was going to land. So I guess now they can feel better about if Battlefield, whatever it's going to be called, is going to come out this year. It'll
be called Battlefield Extraction.
Battlefield That's Battlefield Extraction. Jeez.
Most obvious title ever.
That's all they need. Let's at some point, people, we gotta I know everybody's trying to find the thing I've heard this week is that people are still waiting to make their the Fortnite of the extraction shooter. We have the PUBG, which is Tarkov, but we don't have the Fortnite of the extraction shooter yet. So people are hoping to God that somebody will find it. And of course, somebody, being either EA or Ubisoft or Sony or somebody, is hoping that they're the ones. Right. So here's what's they have down the pike, which they just announced also that Skate apparently is online only because it's going to be in early access.
I completely thought, I already assumed that one because they want Skate to be some social thing.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to what Skate is supposed to be, which is not that.
So let's look at what
it'll be Skate,
go ahead.
The Skate extraction shooter.
Yeah. So they had Split Fiction come out this year, which did great by all estimations. They had a Command & Conquer Legions come out on mobile, which I'm sure that did whatever. And that hasn't come out yet. I'm sorry. That comes out at the end of this month on the 27th.
Yeah.
Then they got the F125 from Codemasters. Then they have college football and Madden, the double dose there. And then Star Wars Zero Company, we know, is coming out in 2026 at some point. That's all they got. And then EA Sports FC. That's it. Literally, look at this. They got the Sims still going on, obviously, but all they have this year is Split Fiction, the F1 game, and then their three trio of sports games. And then we have no idea when Skate is coming. No idea when Plants vs. Zombies 3 Welcome to Zomburbia is coming. And then they have a bunch of untitled stuff, that Iron Man game, Mass Effect, whatever, the Battlefield game, the Black Panther game, another Marvel game. There you go. There's all your money.
Let me ask you this. if you were EA, what's the one franchise you would put most of your money into?
I think they already do that with EAFC. They probably spend more money on that license, getting all the clubs and everything than anything else.
Yes, but that's the wrong answer. The correct answer is The Sims. And the fact that they're not
Which they're on record of they don't want to make a Sims 5.
Yeah, I was just going to say it. The fact they're not making Sims 5 is like the craziest fucking thing in, you know, because it's not like The Sims 4 is like new. That's
right.
You
That's
know,
super old. Yeah. When it like,
yeah, it came out a decade ago.
Or more than a decade. Yeah.
And I know Sims 4 is not like free to play and they just sell basically packs and, you know, I guess it does well for them. But like, yo, mom, you know, teenage girls and moms and women love that crap. And even some guys do.
Do you, I feel like they're worried about they'll lose all the players that don't want to buy another game and they don't want to have to try to figure out how to make that migrate from Sims 4 over to Sims 5. And then people have to make a whole new set of characters and everything else. And they're worried about when you tell people that, like,
hey,
I'm not playing anymore.
Sims 4 did pretty well from Sims 3. So
right, but that was a different time. Like, we're talking about 12 years on, and we know how it is when you have anybody that runs up against friction with anything like, oh, I have to do something besides downloading this game and pressing the button to turn it on and then playing, you already knock out a bunch of people. So imagine if you got to buy Sims 5, obviously it's shiny, new, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Now, okay, well, it's shiny and new. Well, my old ass PC or laptop or whatever that I play it on, I can't play it on that anymore. So now I have to upgrade this just to play this game. None of my characters transfer over, so now I have to make a whole new town and all the people and all that stuff. And it's like, do I really want to do that? It's like, I'm just gonna stick over here. So, like, are you gonna have a lot of people that don't even migrate over? They just stay on Sims 4 unless they shut down the servers, and then you're gonna have angry people there. So, like, I can kind of understand EA's point in a way, but I agree with you that, like, at some point, bro, got to make Sims 5. It's almost like Destiny at this point, where it's like, I feel like at some point Sony's going to be like, yo, okay, we did all we can with Destiny 2.
Right. Yeah, Destiny
either make Destiny 3 or you know.
Yeah, because I mean, even WoW, it went through basically 10 years, and then we got to make, and they didn't make new WoW 2, but they made that Cataclysm, which dramatically upgraded the graphics and everything because they kind of had to.
I have to wonder if when that's coming again, when they're going to update the.
Instead of making the Sims 5, they'll just release the Sims 1 and just be like, this is the HD version.
Yeah, we're doing a Sims Vanilla now. Here's this.
Right.
You know, we're going to go back. Maybe by then we will have a nostalgia for Sims.
I mean, no, they actually just released Sims 1 and 2 on Steam like 2 months ago.
Yeah, they did.
It was like nuts.
Yeah. So, all right, just to get through some of this other stuff really quick. Speaking of Codemasters, the Leisure Suit Larry games, the first 1 through 7, even though there was never a 4th game, and the newer Magna Cum Laude game are all getting delisted from Steam due to a license that is owned by EA. That I guess they just didn't want to renew or something. Don't know if they're just going to find a way to get those back on Steam or what they're doing with that. They were owned also licensed out by Assemble Games, but we'll see how that goes. Right now, they're just not there, but you can't play them on GOG. So there's that.
You shouldn't, but yeah.
Also, the Evil Dead game is in fact getting delisted. They are going to keep the servers up. We'll see for how long.
Another month.
But they're supposedly they're saying that they're going to keep the servers up indefinitely or whatnot. But yeah, the game's essentially a PvP game, so they're just removing it from the store so you can't buy it anymore. Which, you know, we'll see how long of a shelf life.
I mean, at least that game does have some type of single player. It's not totally online.
Yeah, it does.
95% online.
Yeah, most of it is. The big controversy with Nintendo, aside from them suing the Genki people that made the 3D model of the Switch 2 that was out there, people were using as a this is what the Switch looks like kind of thing. They released that update for the Switch 1, which is essentially getting the Switch ready for the Switch 2 to be out, so you can do the system transfer and all that stuff. So now your digital games have officially become virtual game cards, and they act like digital cartridges. So as of now, don't know if this is going to get changed at all, or this is going to be the official way it will always be from now on. Because you have to load and eject the virtual game cards, you can no longer share your game with people over the internet like that. The person has to physically be in the same room as you in order to get the card onto their system. So you can lend it out to a friend that you know personally for 14 days, and then they have to go to your house again to get the game again.
Right.
People made a little bit of a stink about it, but I don't feel like this got the stink that I thought it was going to get. So
I imagine some enterprising young hacker will figure out a way to like make a virtual house or something and say, you know, you and your friend can just log in and upgrade it that way or update the license or something.
But essentially, they don't want you to do the thing you're doing with Yens, where you got the primary console and the not primary console, and y'all can share games like that. It also is probably a way to prevent another way for them to try to prevent some of the emulation stuff as well, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, with games getting more expensive, this was a way that I think people were hoping that they could kind of circumvent the whole $80 games thing. And if this doesn't really get corrected with Switch 2, that's going to kind of suck.
Right.
Because I was already talking to Randy about like maybe we should all just get a family plan.
Right. Yeah.
Start sharing games between each other because holy crap, man. Trying to sit there and pay full price for all these Nintendo games is going to get ridiculous.
Did I tell you what happened at that party like 3 months ago or 4 months ago?
No.
I was with my friend and he was like, "Oh yeah, me and some other people are all on the Steam family plan, like trading plan."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, you got 1,600 games," and my response was, "That's it." Like, I got over 2,000 by myself. Like,
yeah.
He was like, "Oh, we should add you," and then he never did. So, all right, fine.
Fair enough there. All right. We'll see if that eventually gets updated or changed or whatever. Nintendo just doesn't mess with it. But lastly, I know this is like inside baseball, and a lot of people don't care. That's why I left it to the end because it affects us in this realm, and it always sucks to see more games media, games journalism jobs be lost, especially when we're talking about two big sites.
Right.
Polygon is essentially done. They were sold to the content farm that is Valnet. Of course, they own Game Rant and CBR, Screen Rant, The Gamer. And look, The Gamer does great stuff. Not shortchanging them or whatever, but especially Game Rant, they're just like there to just do listicles and things like that. And they pay you like crap. And they bought the what is it? The Fandom sold Giant Bomb.
No,
sold
they didn't
Polygon.
sell it.
Sorry, Fandom sold Polygon to Valnet. And then now Valnet
it wasn't Phantom had nothing to do with Polygon.
Or sorry.
I think it was like Vox Media.
Vox Media, well, they were Vox Media sold them over to Valnet. Valnet essentially gutted the staff.
Yep.
So all of the longtime writers like Chris Plant, who's part of the Besties podcast, he's been there since the beginning, since 2012. He's gone. Michael McWhorter, who's also been there for a long time, is gone. Ian Walker is also gone. Nicole Carpenter, who was like their investigative reporter, is gone. Man, the amount of people that have run through there freelance is like a laundry list of amazing writers. Even friend of the show, Hayes Madsen's written for them as well. It just sucks. It sucks to see that they're essentially a shell of themselves. And I imagine anybody that's still around, I think like Maddie Myers might still be there, is probably gonna be gone not too long from now, because I can't imagine they're gonna be just excited to do this. Again, just look, I know a lot of things, nothing's meant to last forever and all that kind of stuff, whatever. But it sucks to see more and more of these sites go down. It's not, apparently, according to everybody and their mother that's ever made a comment about GameSpot, they're apparently not doing so hot either, or have never been.
I mean, GameSpot used to be number 1 or at least number 2.
Yeah.
And they're probably barely cracking top 5.
Right. I mean, IGN's having that lawsuit against OpenAI and ChatGPT for stealing their content right now. Ziff Davis is, and they own a bunch of websites as well.
The problem with GameSpot, they used to, they weren't quite as personality focused as Giant Bomb was, but they still had a good group of reviewers. And now they don't review everything on time anymore. They don't review everything, period.
Right.
And so it's like, yeah, no wonder this place is kind of falling apart, or it's not doing great. And we didn't even talk. I mean, you kind of briefly mentioned it, but Giant Bomb is kind of the real big one,
right? I just wanted to mention Polygon before we went into the Giant Bomb thing. Yeah.
Did you like Polygon much or no?
Yeah, I read their stuff just from they do a great the top 50 they do at the end of the year, and they're always awesome for guides. That's part of the problem also, I'm sure, is that most people just went for them for guides, and then a lot of the other stuff nobody cared about.
I always hated on Polygon. I hated the way the site looked, or the scrolling.
They were one of the first ones to have the site scrolls down thing, even on PC.
Right.
So
I mean, I read them occasionally, but they weren't enough. I didn't go to them every day or every even month.
What's weird is and you also throw in Giant Bomb in here, which Dan Reichert announced that he was no longer going to be appearing on the podcast. Also, Jeff Grubb essentially is gone from Giant Bomb as well, and he is one of the pillars of keeping that thing relevant.
Right.
Obviously, he has his own thing with Mike Minotti, the game mess thing, so he's not going anywhere. He'll be fine. Dan Reichert has the Fire Chat thing.
Fire Escape Cast,
Fire Escape, sorry. And even then, he's with what he does stuff with WWE, all that now. Too.
No, that's been gone long over.
I swear I just saw him doing something with them not too long ago, a month ago or whatever, for WrestleMania. He was.
I mean, he might have been brought in as a guest, or as
maybe
something, or he just went to the show, probably knowing him.
But the main part is that, again, this is another company that Jeff Grubb was, or not, Jeff Gerstmann was on a podcast with John Warren and the BGBs that they do.
Yep.
And he talked about some of this, how it all went down, when he initially left, and all the crap that he had to deal with when they sold to CBS, to then selling to Red Letter, to then selling to Fandom, and where it's at now, and just that crew that was doing the Bombcast was kind of keeping it together after he left, and then now it's they wanted to turn Giant Bomb into a guides site
when they already own GameFAQs.
Yeah, they already own GameFAQs, which I never understood why GameFAQs was never updated into something kind of modern and make that your guide site where they already have guides already
It's because
there.
like the 45-year-olds who still remember GameFAQs, if it went up to, if it didn't look how it did like 30 years ago, they'd freak out. Like I can't find the NHL 2002
It's
fact
still amazing to me.
anymore.
Like I went, so when I was playing Lunar, I went and looked up a guide because I was like, okay, I never played these games before. Is there something I need to
Right.
know? Whatever. And it's like, wow, okay, all the guides are from GameFAQs from the original version way back in the day.
Yep.
And it's like the
All-
site still looks the freaking same, and it's like,
all,
wow, nobody ever updated the site.
all written in like Notepad, and then
Yeah,
the site still looks like it's from like 1997, basically.
At least they did like update it eventually to where they let them do like HTML guides or whatever. But my God, but still, like you're right about that, right? It's like Giant Bomb was about, but that's the thing is like fandom apparently doesn't like personality driven media because they don't know how to make money from it. They don't want to do the typical thing that podcasters and YouTubers do, where it's like, oh, you going outside and get your own, advertisers and all that stuff that want to advertise on your show, even though your sales team doesn't get the money.
Right.
And like they kind of just don't want to deal with that. They want just, okay, this is a site, y'all push out content, whatever. And it's like, whatever. It sucks. It sucks to see like,
I mean, I like to, from far, like I talked to Jens about this, and he was basically like, "Oh, Giant Bomb died when Ryan Davis died," and I was like, "That was 12 years ago." Like,
I mean, for a lot of people, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say, I mean, to me, like I would say, Giant Bomb died kind of when Jeff left. I mean, that's even after like Brian or Brad, Alex, and Vinny left.
Yeah.
But I thought it was crazy. The site kind of became like the ship of Theseus almost in a way, where like you look around and it's like there's no one original left here anymore. Like the longest guy here is Jan, who's a nice guy, or he's cool, but like he's not one of the OGs. And Dan kind of was that, but he left, for 2 years to go to WWE. And he's also like, I like Dan, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's like a great, central pillar of the site because of his like character. You need someone to kind of be the adult.
Right.
I thought it was crazy also. I mean, I never really watched Giant Bomb much, but I thought it was crazy last year when fandom fired that Bailey woman. Because it's like, okay, the site really doesn't have a ton of women on it, except for like Lucy, who's barely there.
Yeah. And then
what do
Abby,
you want?
Right.
Huh?
When they had Abby too.
Well, no, she left like 5 years ago.
Right.
Or
when they had the
but,
Beast cast and they had the
right.
group over there.
But yeah, they had Bailey on, who like wasn't like the top person ever, but hey, she's cute. She's somewhat knowledgeable about games. She can draw in a crowd, and then you let her go. Like, oh, okay, that's a bold plan. Let's see how it works out.
Right.
So yeah, I would say it's a shame, but I like that fandom was like, oh, we're reevaluating stuff, or we're gonna come back. And it's like, no, you're not. Like when half the crew leaves, they got Jan left, and it's like Jan and Jeff Bakalar, and they're just staring at each other because they're too afraid to say anything to damage the brand. Like this isn't.
It's just crazy to me too. Like they disconnected the Discord from fandom. Like they, like they put out a
bombcast that was great.
They put out a bombcast that essentially was taken down, and then it's not coming back. And
someone archived it, and I watched that, and that was good.
Yeah, it's there on YouTube.
Yeah,
it shows up in my feed constantly. I was like, I guess I'll watch it at some point. And then it's,
I mean,
yeah. They were already telling them like they couldn't curse anymore, which at the end of the day, like that's not the worst thing. Like,
yeah, it is. It is, because like even when they got acquired by CBS, one of the things like someone asked was like, "Are you still allowed to curse?" And they were like, "Yeah." Like, there's cursing in games. Like, yeah, you might not drop the C word or the N word, but
Yeah.
like people say shit or fucking games sometimes a lot. Like,
Right. Agreed. Yeah.
so
I'm just saying, like, it's not the end of the world if somebody had to bleep that stuff out as like that's
yeah,
the worst thing you could have done. But they were doing other things that were just like, you know, who knows how long it takes before you start just controlling the whole like what they talk about on the show itself, right?
right.
So yeah, it sucks. Um, Jeff Grubb said he's not going to really talk about you're not going to get like the big scoop on what happened from him at least.
Well, not until
Yeah.
the NDA expires.
Yeah, but we'll see. I don't know. He doesn't seem like the guy that's like I want to trash on people kind of person.
Right.
Um, he's always been very hey, he has to keep up reputation because he doesn't want to lose any of his scoops or people in the industry that help him out. So
Yeah.
um yeah. I hope anybody else that's affected that didn't choose to leave or whatever, hopefully they find something that they want to do. I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of try to do a Nextlander thing
Right.
where they do their own thing after a while. Grubb did kind of hint at that they have a lot of things in the works. We'll see.
I imagine also
So,
Jeff and Dan might get back together to like, reviewing Dragon Ball Super or
yeah,
more anime.
yeah.
That'll be great.
But all right. I'm sure that more of that will probably unravel. They did make that post about how they're figuring out what they're going to do next, as far as I think that's on the fandom side of things. So
Right.
we'll see what ends up becoming of
It'll just
Giant
turn into
Bomb at the end.
it'll just become gamebomb.ru.
Yeah. Oh God. Say that. So yeah. I guess let's go ahead and end the show as we always do with what is coming out this week. Although everybody has their eye on what's coming out pretty much like the week after, but there are some things here. Revenge of the Savage Planet, that's going to be on Game Pass. You can also get it on PS5 as well. This Imperial game that's been hyped and keeps getting ads everywhere. That also comes out on the 8th. The Midnight Walk, which I mentioned, also comes out on the 8th. One game that will not be coming out on the 8th now is Sonic Rumble. That got delayed.
Yep.
So if you were looking forward to playing Sonic Rumble on your phone, that will no longer be the case. Among Us 3D comes out tomorrow, so if you hadn't played it enough in 2D, you can now play it in 3D. Yes, Your Grace Snowfall comes out tomorrow on PC. I don't know if Jens is looking forward to that or not. I know he liked the original Yes, Your Grace.
Okay.
And yeah, that's kind of it. Not a huge list, but there's some cool stuff. And obviously next
Right.
week is the one everybody's waiting on with Doom and all that.
Well,
So
not everyone, but yeah.
yeah. Like I mentioned, we're gonna have a good friend of mine. I was on his podcast, Video Game Happy Hour, last week. He's gonna be on for the talking about Doom episode on May 19th, so in 2 weeks. And yeah, so thankfully everybody that watched live or if you listen later, watch later, we do appreciate you. Thank you so much. Hit us up at WTM Humanity Plague on Blue Sky or X, wherever it is that you like to do social media. And we'll see you next time, everybody.
Later.
Later. Peace.